Okay, hey you guys, I'm back with another word. I have another vision that I received on April 8th, 2023 at 2:11. And in this, I was dozing off and I opened my eyes to see like a paper on the wall with writing on it. When I looked up 2:11, it meant box, alabaster box. A box made of alabaster in which unguents are preserved. And usually that's for when there's a burial that's going to take place. So I was led to Luke chapter 7, and I'm going to read verses 37 to 38. Okay, so verse 37 says, "And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment." This is right before Jesus is about to be, crucified. And she knew, that's why she did this. It says, "And stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment." Okay, so the next place that I was led to was Daniel chapter 5, verses 13 through 30. And this is about the handwritings on the wall with King Belshazzar. So, verse 13 says, "Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel," wait a minute, I want to start at the beginning. "So Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein." So this is where he went wrong at, right here. Okay, it says, "Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone." So they touched something that was holy, and then they began to drink, and they praise false gods, gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. And it says, "In the same hour came forth fingers on a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another." So he was afraid when he seen this. It says, "The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, Whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom." Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. And the queen spake and said, "O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. In the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar thy father, the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers." Notice he made him master over those who had that false gift. It says, "For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation." Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, "Art thou that Daniel which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry?" I have heard of thee that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself. Daniel said, I don't want them, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king, the most high, God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom in majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he slew, and whom he would he kept alive, and whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven. Till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written: Mene, mene, tekel, a parson. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Thou art weighed in the tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Perez, thy king is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Okay, so I was led there, basically with this vision. Somebody that's lifted up, that is prideful, you know, who have not humbled themselves, have chosen to touch what is holy to God. Um, you've decided to touch what is holy to God, basically, and because of that, this has angered God. Yeah, this has angered God because you've touched what is holy to God, or the Lord's anointed, and because of this, an end has come. The handwritings are on the wall. An end has come for you, and basically, yeah, your kingdom is finished. An end has come, like I said, and you have been weighed in the balances and have been found wanting by God. And the kingdom that you had is going to be given to another, basically. And so that's pretty much the word. Um, because as I read before, 211 meant box, alabaster box. So there's going to be a death. is what the Lord was showing with this as well. And that's why I was led to Luke chapter 7, verses 37 through 38, with how the lady, the woman was, you know, washing Jesus' feet with her tears, um, because she knew that he was about to be crucified. She knew that he was about to be crucified. And an alabaster box is a box that's made of alabaster in which unguents are preserved. These are things used to help a body not smell or stink um, when it's buried. And so an end has come for who this vision concerns. And the handwritings are on the wall. And so that is the word. Um, I will be back with another vision to share with you. Peace and goodbye.